to top this one. I know there's some more sliders over there. I think they might have brought in peach cobblers. C L said that he is willing to take some questions and answers. And we are the Low Country Conservatives in Action, and we have been at this for 7 years, and we have gotten pretty darn tired of losing elections and things like that. But you can tell we haven't given up because the room is full for you.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Make your question. Any questions?
With the group of men and women that are running for president that we know so far, and some of those that probably are coming in, with your experience and your background and your activism that you've got and your heart, give us your pick.
At this point in time, it really is. I'm not blowing the question off, but it is early. I like 3 candidates probably in this order. I like Ted Cruz. I like Rick Perry. And I would hold my nose and vote for Scott Walker. In that order. That's who if I could choose today and take away all the lightning rod qualities of Ted Cruz, and he has lightning rod qualities. People don't like him because he likes us.
Yeah.
And he's one of us.
Right.
And so you have to figure in that politics into that.
Right.
I like Rick Perry. Rick Perry, I believe, would have been president of the United States if he hadn't shot himself in the head on national television. He would have been president.
There is that.
Yeah. And of course, Scott Walker is a governor who has been governor of a difficult state, Wisconsin. Scott Walker was the governor of Wisconsin. Wisconsin. And he actually straightened that out. Yes, Rick Perry was the governor of Texas, the longest serving public official since Sam Houston in Texas. So great credentials. I think we need a governor, to tell you the truth. I think we need somebody who's actually run something. Today, Marco Rubio gave a great speech, but we need somebody. Listen, the last president, our president now gave a great speech. Okay? We need somebody. Marco Rubio gave a fantastic speech today. Gives speeches all the time. He gave a great speech. Let me tell you, he gave a great speech. And people are the news media is going to be talking about how great a speech Marco Rubio gave, and how good he looks, and all that kind of thing, how young he looks, how Kennedy-esque he is, and all that kind of thing. We don't need movie stars. We don't need good speech makers. We need someone whose word is their bond and who has steel in their spine. And that's what we're missing. Yes, sir. Pastor.
It's been said that we have about, 93 million evangelicals, but only about 35 million voters. And what I would like to know is, how can we get the folks that say that they're evangelical to understand what the platform is by voting the Bible, whether you're white or black, because I'm in a ministry where, all in the church mostly vote Democrats.
Right.
How do you get the folks going? A lot of them, they believe the same things that we believe, but it's just that my daddy voted Democrat, so I'm voting Democrat.
Right.
How do you get them out of that mentality, even though they already believe what you believe when it comes to same-sex and abortion and supporting Israel and all of this? How do you get them on the same accord?
That's a question I'm sure is on the mind of everybody here. Let me tell you what the problem is. We addressed this in the movie Runaway Slave. A good friend of mine, Nason Weaver, says this in the movie. There's a certain thing among people called tribalism, and particularly among black church people. The pastor is the chief He's the chief. Now, you being a pastor, you know what I'm talking about. You being a black pastor, you particularly know what I'm talking about.
That's right.
I've pastored churches for over 36 years. And I know that if I direct my congregation to vote a certain way, they're going to vote. 95% of them are going to vote the way I tell them to. Tell you something about a bondage mentality. The slave does not seek freedom unless he's a runaway, unless he has that mentality. The slave seeks comfort. He just wants a softer bed to lay on, or a better roof over his head, or more food in his bowl. That's what the slave mentality is about. And when you look at nearly half of our population who's able to work and don't work, and don't have people like Sister Janine over here who is able to teach them how to better themselves, then all they looking for is more food in the bowl, a softer pallet to lay on, or as long as Uncle Sam will keep a roof over my head. They're not seeking freedom. They're seeking comfort. And the government has figured that out about most Americans. If we give them some comfort, if we give them 2 years of unemployment, if they find themselves without a job, let's give them comfort. It's slavery. It's bondage. And you're being led there by tribal chiefs. They come in all colors. Harry Reid was one. I think somebody actually beat Harry up. I'm not really sure. Sorry. I bought the scenario where he fell off of this walker, this treadmill. I'm not buying that anymore. Somebody beat Harry up. I'm telling you. But he's a tribal chief. Hillary Clinton is a tribal chief. Yes, sir.
I believe that one of our biggest problems, if not the biggest problem for groups of people just like ourselves, is the liberal media. The question is, do you agree, and how can we fight this?
Yes.
2 ways. 1, support AFR, American Family Radio. It's the largest Christian network as far as radio is concerned. Encourage others to do it as well. 2, don't run away when you are being called bad names. When they start calling you racist, that's the worst thing any one of us can be called. And they know that. I mean, you know, you like C L Bryant, well, he's a sellout, you're a racist. Don't run when they do that. They have seen us turn tail too many times. And they know that it works. Support a mouthpiece that supports you, AFR, because let me tell you about Fox News. And this I know. In about a year, Roger Ailes is going to step down. He's the poobah, the grand poobah of Fox News, the godfather of Fox News. He's going to step down. You're beginning to see it in some of the major faces that are on Fox News, including O'Reilly. You're beginning to see them take softer and softer positions on certain things. So not even Fox News is going to be Fox News perhaps in about a year. If Hillary Clinton becomes president of the United States in 2016, to gain access to that Clinton machine, they'll soften even more. So you're going to have to start supporting mouthpieces that support you, and the only bastion left that I know of is Christian radio.
That's right.
That's the only one I know of, because the news media, the liberal news media, my friend, has totally taken over the programming of the minds of Americans. They have brainwashed Americans.
Yes.
And the sad part about it is that they have done a hit job on our children.
Yeah.
Your children, because you're here tonight, they think you're out of your mind. They think you must be crazy to be here talking about this. But do you know this is how our country began?
That's right.
Our country began with a group of rebels that looked just like us.
Yeah.
There was a few black folks just like us who got this country. Yeah, they were younger. Yeah. Who started America. And the American spirit is still alive. It is not dead. And I tell you something, in flyover country that they call my neck of the woods and probably this neck of the woods, this is where true Americans live. We live in places like this. Not in Chicago. Not in New York. Not in Los Angeles. Americans live in places like South Carolina, Louisiana. Yes, ma'am.
The Tea Party reaches out regularly to the black community. And we get limited response. We're real pleased with the people that came here tonight, but we really need them in the movement. Do you have any suggestions on how we can attract and keep them with us?
Absolutely. My basic goal in the Empower Tour is, first of all, to tell our story as conservatives. For some reason, I do understand it. The word conservative is an almost automatic turn off. You and I talked about this, Linda.
Yeah.
To black people. Why? Because of the news media. They have made it a poisonous word to them. Because the news media always referred to conservatives as the Democrat racist of the 60s. The George Wallaces. That's who they referred to. And unfortunately, George had taken the label as a conservative. That's what he had done. And so the news media, Al Sharpton and the rest of them, they play that game very well. And so they now attach that old label to the new label. And we're talking about the conservatism of the founding fathers. That's the type of conservatives we're talking about. We don't tell that story. Don't be ashamed or afraid or reluctant to go into the black church. Because I can promise you, if you'll go from time to time before it's election time, they'll be used to seeing you there. Because the Democrats, they only, and this is something that I just don't understand why I used to be a foaming at the mouth liberal now. I was a Democrat. I'm the former president of the NAACP, Garland, Texas. I'm dyed in the wool as far as that was. I know both sides of this street. 23 years ago, I was suing the GISD, Garland Independent School District, in federal court. We settled the magnet schools in Garland, Texas today happened on my watch. I understand liberalism. I'm not just talking in the wind here. I understand it. But then they asked me, had a directive from Dr. Benjamin Hooks. He said, Bryant, I need you to go in this directive and speak at a pro-choice rally. This was in 1987. I refused to do it because I was Christian education director at that time at a church there in Garland. Refused to do it. We didn't have these phones that we send messages back and forth then. So I had to send a directive or make a call. And I realized that my star that was shooting up began to abruptly set because I turned it down. Because of my principles. And then I realized, I told my wife, told Jane, I said, listen, they don't just want to control the agenda. They want to control me and use me to control a group of people. Now, if you'll take a look at what the where the NAACP has gone from then until now, they have become a working right arm of the Democrat Party.
Yeah, that's right.
They push the idea that we should kill black babies. They're all on board with that. And so, to answer your question, Linda, you must start showing up like they do. And this is what I've never understood. I've never understood how come we can't see through the fact that we don't ever see them until it's time to vote. How come we didn't learn that lesson during Katrina in Louisiana? Kathleen Blanco was the governor, Democrat. Ray Nagin was the mayor of New Orleans, Democrat. Senator Mary Landrieu, who we just got rid of, was the senator, Democrat. Now, those buses that sat idle during the storm, Katrina, Mary Landrieu, Ray Nagin, and Kathleen Blanco during election time, they send those buses into the 9th Ward, put those people on them and drive them to the polls.
They wouldn't drive by the storm.
But when the storm came, the buses sat there with water up to the hoods. They did not go in and get the people who put them in office. But yet, guess who got blamed for it? George Bush! That's what we buy. And so, go into the churches. The way to any vote. Listen, everything in my black friends here can tell you, everything that used to happen in the black community used to happen through the church. Everything. It still pretty much is that way. Go in. Make yourself known to the congregants. That's what the Democrats have done for years. And this is warfare. We must fight fire. Yes, ma'am.
Earlier today, this smart young woman was talking about how, when she was on welfare, how felt like they gave her just enough to keep her thinking, well, today's better than yesterday, but she really didn't have opportunity to get out of poverty. So I was wondering, how do you respond to people who say that the welfare system is compassionate because it helps poor people?
Very good question. The welfare system, as Sister Janine will tell you, has its purpose in its own time, but we are abusing it. As I told you about those people who are able, listen, how is it possible that wherever we go these days, we see grown men not doing nothing?
That's right.
And I'm not talking about just black men, I'm talking about grown men, period.
That's exactly right.
Not doing nothing. When I was growing up, in my neighborhood in Shreveport, Louisiana, back in the late 50s, early 60s, when I was growing up, I didn't know a man